We watching empires be affected. You know what I mean? Because
I saw you leave like a, nice comment for Cassie.
Yeah.
With everything that's been happening with Diddy.
I can't wait. I can't wait for everybody to find out what's really been going on in the background.
Brace yourselves for the crisis of the century, Shaw. Diddy Cole is under fire like never before, with disturbing claims of trafficking and abuse coming from every area. Federal agents rushed in on his luxurious Los Angeles and Miami mansions, leaving no stone untouched.
Sandra, this is going to turn into a huge scene that is going to be an all-day thing, and it involves, yes, P. Diddy. The home is actually registered to Bad Boy Films.
The high-stakes operation, done with helicopters and a swarm of uniformed officials, saw them hauling away boxes of potential evidence, upping the stakes in what promises to be an explosive litigation. Showdown, what caused this unprecedented crackdown? The Department of Homeland Security, armed with a warrant from the Southern District of New York, appears to be putting together a dark and twisted puzzle involving several complaints from both men and women. Cassie Ventura, Diddy's ex-girlfriend, got the ball rolling with her bombshell lawsuit, citing physical abuse.
We all saw it posted yesterday all over our social media pages. Cassie filed a lawsuit in New York City against Diddy.
Yikes.
She's claiming she was stuck in a decade-long cycle of abuse.
Despite Diddy's team dismissing her charges as a frivolous shakedown, the secret deal they made only fueled the flames of public scrutiny.
That he controlled every aspect of her life. He is accused of frequently beating her and would hide her in hotel rooms for days until the bruising and signs of abuse were gone.
Now, as the music mogul's business crumbles, his closest pals are noticeably silent. Nick Cannon, formerly a strong defender, has given no public defense. Stevie J's words, meanwhile, have done little but stir more controversy. With Diddy allegedly fleeing to the Bahamas, the world watches in anticipation, wondering if this is the beginning of the end for the hip-hop icon. Will he clear his name? Or is this just the tip of an iceberg meant to sink his legacy? Stay tuned as we discover the twists and turns of this jaw-dropping saga.
I think it's just, man, and as we all sit here, we've been in this game for a long time, and there's a lot of things that we probably don't know the details on, but
Nick Cannon, caught in the middle of the maelstrom, has been treading a tightrope of loyalty and self-preservation, despite Diddy's steadfast support amid Khan's own fall, from grace over anti-Semitic comments. The TV host's recent words show a guy split between friendship and the harsh glare of public criticism. Cannon's hesitation to openly stand behind his actions speaks volumes, especially given their history. When I was going through my stuff, he called, checked on me, stood by me. Cannon admitted on his podcast Council Culture that this sense of obligation hangs heavy. However, Cannon's reluctant response seemed to hint at deeper problems and future separation.
When you start to hear stuff, you don't know how to feel because, you know these people or you've seen it, and I'm like, damn, is that what was going on?
And critics alike are parsing Cannon's every word, noting his apparent avoidance of direct support. On the one hand, he shows sympathy for Cassie Ventura, the catalyst in Diddy's collapse, acknowledging her sorrow and suffering. This is someone who was hurt, victimized. Cannon stated, highlighting the personal connection he feels with both sides. But his comments are tinged with an obvious difficulty. I don't know how to feel about that. He admits to showing the conflict that many of Dye's associates may quietly share.
It's like a family member when you hear something happen, like, damn, I don't agree with the behavior, but I care for the person.
Right.
This dangerous equilibrium highlights the expansion of Diddy's inner circle as more allies retreat into the shadows. The rumors of treason grow louder. Could this be a calculated move to protect their own jobs and reputations?
You know, when you think about Diddy, think about all that Diddy has done for the culture.
Indeed.
Just not him as the person, or because
30 years of timeless music in the moment.
The entertainment business is notoriously fickle, and loyalty often has its limits. With each passing day, Diddy's isolation becomes more apparent, casting doubt on his once unassailable position at the pinnacle of the music world. Stevie J, the triple Grammy award-winning music producer and longtime friend of Diddy, has found himself treading treacherous waters, is stuck between his allegiance to Diddy and the growing claims. Steve's new revelations offer a look into the strife within Diddy's inner circle. Despite rejecting the charges as a money scheme perpetrated by Lil Rod and his attorneys, Stevie's uneasiness is clear.
I find it funny that, when they first try to crucify somebody, they go through the media first. And they're just flooded with lies.
In an interview with Fox 5 and I's Lisa Evers, he characterized the raid on Diddy's Miami house as terrifying and overpowering, creating a picture of a man rattled to the core by the events happening around him. Despite the pandemonium, Stevie seeks to give a semblance of support for his troubled friend. My man would never break the law. We're law-abiding citizens. That's what we do. You know, this is another crucifixion of a black man. He boldly states, repeating Diddy's own protests of innocence. But underneath the bravado is a sense of doubt, an awareness that the formerly unbreakable tie between Diddy and his allies may be crumbling at the seams. Meanwhile, Cuba Gooding Jr., a peripheral character in Diddy's orbit, finds himself propelled into the spotlight under less than favorable conditions. Accused by Rodney Jones of misconduct after a New Year's Eve rendezvous aboard Diddy's boat, Cuba adamantly rejects any wrongdoing in an interview on the PBD podcast. Here counts his horror upon waking up to news of Diddy's homes being raided, vehemently distancing himself from the growing scandal.
It's funny because my lawyers said, you know, every outlet in the world wants to talk to you. And again, I'm like, I'm not defining myself from some headline in the press.
Dismissing Jones's claims as a desperate quest for financial gain. Cuba presents himself as an innocent pawn in a wider game of legal maneuvering. Despite being named as a defendant in Jones's case, Cuba maintains his innocence, claiming that he and Diddy are mere acquaintances with no intimate ties.
We were acquaintances, just like I just showed you. Yeah. 2-3 times I've seen him, so it's...
Oh, so Diddy, you've only seen him 2 or 3 times.
That's what I'm saying!
However, Cuba's efforts to remove himself from Diddy's problems only fueled conjecture, with contradicting versions of their interactions appearing, and issues about their claimed acquaintance. Cuba's story adds another layer of intrigue to an already convoluted saga. As the net tightens around Diddy, his friends scramble to salvage their own reputations, leaving behind a trail of uncertainty and suspicion. Adding to the mystery is Diddy's other high-profile friend's silence. Not a word from Jay-Z, who has frequently been viewed as a mentor and confidant. Beyoncé, who is usually measured in her public appearances, remains a sphinx, her quiet deafening amidst the commotion. This collective calm shows an industry holding its breath, waiting for the dust to settle before taking sides. Finally, as the gravity of the situation becomes obvious, it's no surprise that Diddy associates are scrambling to distance themselves. With rumors swirling about possible life imprisonment for the hip-hop mogul, the shadow of incarceration looms large over all those linked to him. Namar Ramini, a legal expert who is not directly involved in the case, says there's no possible plea that is going to get him off with a slap on the wrist or probation if the prosecutors are successful and able to prove it. He may end up perishing in prison. Federal officers armed with warrants and emission-rated Diddy opulent houses, leaving no stone untouched. But their chase wasn't exclusively centered on sex trafficking. Potential gun and firearm charges also lingered in the air, further complicating the rapper's legal situation. Quagmire Ermani draws unsettling comparisons to other high-profile instances, suggesting that the Diddy saga could resemble the historic demise of Jeffrey Epstein or R. Kelly.
And they sacrificing Diddy. They said, you gotta take this because we can't be involved.
As the investigation intensifies, the circle of suspicion widens. Cassie Ventura, Diddy's ex-girlfriend, triggered a chain reaction with her complaint, claiming a decade-long history of sexual and physical abuse. This initial spark ignited a firestorm with more alleged victims coming forward, each story adding fuel to the growing inferno of scandal. Ronnie's view of the situation paints a bleak picture. This is why under federal law, if someone is convicted of even one count of sex trafficking, it carries a minimum 10 or 15-year prison sentence minimum. What if there's more to the saga than meets the eye? Eddie Griffin, never one to shy away from debate, has an idea that is sending ripples in the sea of inquiry. Griffin thinks there's a mysterious game at play where powerful men engineer the demise of their protégés, disposing of them like pawns on a chessboard. Could it be that Deed's formerly loyal peers are now turning against him, fearing their own exposure in this complex web of scandal?
There's layers upon layers. When you get into these fucking conspiracy theories, man, they never end. They never end. There's just layers upon layers.
Adding fuel to the fire, comedian Andrew Schultz mirrored Griffin's thoughts on Joe Rogan's show, hinting at a greater plot lurking beneath the surface. Everybody's a conspiracy theorist now. Schultz remarked, delving into the possibility that the federal raids on properties were not solely about him, but rather aimed at protecting the reputations of other influential people. He could be caught in the crossfire of a larger power struggle, with his associates scrambling to erase any incriminating evidence that could implicate them. The theory doesn't stop there. Rumors abound that Diddy himself might strike a deal with federal authorities, offering up his associates in return for leniency. Is this why some of his closest allies are distancing themselves, afraid they may be the first to face the music? It's a tantalizing idea, one that adds yet another layer of intrigue to an already convoluted narrative. One thing is certain, Diddy's empire is collapsing, and the fallout threatens to engulf everyone in its path. With each passing day, the stakes rise, the tension thickens, and the whispers grow stronger as the saga unfolds. The world waits with bated breath to see who will emerge unharmed and who will be consumed by the flames of scandal. Stay tuned as we continue to unravel the twists and turns of this gripping saga as the storm around Shaw Diddy CMS rages on fan replies, provide an interesting view into the public's perception of this growing saga. Fans speculate about Nick's part in this drama, and one poster ominously suggests